Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode on your favorite Shia Muslim podcast, After Maghrib. If it's your first time tuning in and you are watching on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to follow so you never miss an episode. Now, brothers and sisters, over the last few weeks, we've all had the opportunity, myself and you, to attend majalis to honor Imam Hussain alayhi salam. However, after Maghrib, what we want to do is try to understand Imam Hussain better, build ma'rifah with our Imam, not just Imam Hussain, our living Imam, Imam Mahdi ajjalallah ta'ala farajhu sharif. So in today's episode, we want to explore Ashura and the message of Ashura, not just as an historical event, but a lifetime school of thought, inshallah. This means we want to explore and understand what was the mission behind Imam al-Hussain. What's the relationship and the connection between Sabt al-Rasul and the promised one, the awaited one, Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallah ta'ala farajhu sharif. At the same time, understanding the men and women who joined Imam al-Hussain, the companions, the Ansar, a little more with more depth. Now, I always say I can't have these conversations alone. I always introduce Ahmed, but before I say this time, I have to say I can't have these conversations without you. After Maghrib needs your support, and if you are looking to contribute and you benefit from our content and you want us to continue releasing brand new content that benefits you, your community, your family, your loved ones, and even if you have questions you're scared to ask members of the community, you can always tune in. You can do so by visiting aftermaghrib.com/Ya Hussain, where we have an amazing campaign that you can take part in called Partners in Khidmah. Now, back to the episode. Ahmed, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How you doing, bro?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. I'm excited for today's episode. Thanks for the introduction. We also, brothers and sisters, you will have noticed that me and Sayyid Ali are generally very well dressed men. You know, alhamdulillah. And today is no different. And we didn't just coincidentally wear the same t-shirt. I think this is the first episode, brothers and sisters, where we are introducing our new merch line, the Rising Flag Edition, where we are wearing oversized tees, which kind of allows you to feel confident in wearing Shia merchandise anywhere, to be honest. I wore it to work and my colleague said, "Where did you get that tee?" I told him, "It's our brand, bro." He said, "There's no way." So the fact, and so you know what, subhanallah, this is a true story. Yesterday I was at the mosque and a brother came to me and he said to me, "I wore the shirt on the train, no, in a cafe," he said, in central London. A guy behind him told him, "Where did you get that shirt? What is After Maghrib?" He says, "It's a podcast." He says, "Oh, the podcast After Maghrib." He goes, "I thought so." He goes, "I listen to After Maghrib as well." And he asked him, "Do you know Ahmed and Sayyid Ali?" And it turned out that he actually was in front of a Shia brother who also tunes in, so shout out to them both.
Small world.
But yeah, guys, you can go on the website aftermaghrib.com. Make sure you use the code ECHO, that's ECHO, for 10% off your order, and inshallah you can get one of the t-shirts which you can see in front of us, as well as a bottle as well. Now, brothers and sisters, let's crack on with the conversation. Sayyid Ali mentioned there's always lessons to be learned, to draw parallels between the past and the present, and of course the future as well. We say Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain wa ala ashab al-Hussain, and Allah has set somewhat of a hierarchy in that formula for us. So to kind of understand the Imam, we have to understand that entire statement in totality. Today, inshallah, we will do that by understanding some of the companions as well, and their masculinity, their kind of personalities, and ways in which we can take from them to also then become, inshallah, Ansar al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajhu sharif. Without further ado, it gives me great pride and honor to introduce our guest scholar for today, Shaykh Nabil Awan. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How's it going?
Alhamdulillah, good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Sheikh, where do we begin? You are a man and a scholar of many talents. For those of us who know, you are extremely what's the word I'm looking for? I'd say you're definitely someone I wouldn't want to cross paths with in a street fight. You are a black belt in Wing Chun, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to be careful with questions.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where in a majlis someone has challenged you and you've had to kind of straighten them out?
Allahu Akbar.
No. I think my size puts most people off anyway. But yeah, well, we've done some sparring after the majlis sometimes with some brothers.
Cool.
But yeah. So
I hope inshallah we can pick up some tips. And of course, for those of, I'm sure we all know, Sheikh, of course, is born and raised in the UK. He's now in Saskatoon in Canada. Is that how you pronounce it? In Edmonton.
Yeah.
Apologies. Were you in Saskatoon?
No.
I don't know where I got that from. Apologies. Edmonton, rather. How's life over there? Do you miss home?
It's good. It's good once you get over the winter and realize, minus 50 ain't that bad.
Oh my God.
Or then, I mean, that's one week of the year, but after that, it sort of hovers around minus 20 to minus 30 for a good part of the year.
Wow. So how are you coping? Because it's hot right now in London.
Yeah, it's very hot. No, alhamdulillah. It's just good to be home. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Ahsantum. Sheikh, let's get stuck in with your permission. We're kind of at a junction right now, a transitionary phase between post Ashura blues and reflection, and of course the build up, the excitement for Arba'in. At this time, I think the momentum for a lot of brothers and sisters is up and down. I think the progress in spirituality some of us may have had may not be as strong as it was a few weeks ago. And at the same time, for anyone who's looking forward to traveling, if they have the blessing to go for Ziyarat Arba'in in Iraq, there's an element of excitement. But at this point in time, where should we be? What should we be thinking of? How is kind of the best way for us to continue the momentum in between these two amazing and obviously very heavy periods?
I think that the first thing is that one has to contemplate over the first 10 days. The Arafah, they speak about this bab of rizq, of sustenance that opens unto the world from the 1st of Muharram until the day of Ashura. And I always ask people this question is, what did you gain from Imam Hussain in the first 10 nights? Because the Imam, he occupies a unique position in all of existence, from amongst the Aimma as well. From the turba of Imam al-Hussain being shafa'ah to all of your du'as being accepted under the dome of Abu Abdullah, to being the door of Jannah. So so much can be gained from the door of Imam al-Hussain. Did I spend the first 10 nights, and this is what people should be thinking about, did I spend the first 10 nights just going through the motions? I got black clothes, I went to the majlis, I sat there, I cried, I did matam. All of this is admirable, by the way. Like anyone who just did that, alhamdulillah, they have gained. But to be able to actually analyze that, what did I gain? So a lot of times we just sort of, I ask people who go to ziyarah, like, what did Imam Hussain give you? Now, what did you ask from Imam al-Hussain? And so in the first 10 nights, or in this period after, we have to contemplate that, what did this saga of love do to me? How has it changed me? Am I exactly the same as I was from the 1st of Muharram, or can I tangibly say there is something that I have learned, something that I've changed in my life? And that's where we need to be, contemplating before the next door of rizq opens. I mean, this whole period of 2 months and 8 days that some mourn for this whole period, that there is something available to you. But when it reaches, like, for example, Arba'in again, another one of those specific bab of rizq will open. So what am I doing to be able to receive what is about to come to me in the days of Arba'in?
No, very beautifully said. It's a nice reflection to share, actually, because I think we all, in many ways, think like that at times. Even growing up, maybe not now, but growing up, I remember, like, back in the day, I can go back, I don't know, I'm 34 now. So I used to think, Ashura is over, what's next? But I never knew what's next. I never searched for what's next. I didn't ask the questions. But subhanAllah, over the last few years, I've been wanting to know more. I've been wanting to know specifically. I remember 2 years ago, Ahmed, we said, let's do a theme here in the podcast, and it was from Muharram and Safar. Where was the Tawheed in Karbala? Like there are so many things that we can derive from the battle itself, before the battle and after the battle, and it's a whole new world. Yani, there's so much conversations that we can have. But I think something that that will allow us to understand the objectives of Imam al-Hussein beyond the Aza, beyond the martyrdom and the battle is, what was the key objectives of the Imam? Because there was definitely a reason for him to go there. And many do ask, why was he in Karbala? Why did he take his family? Like, what was the objectives? Some say it's only Islah. Some say, no, he was there to beef the oppressors. But I'm sure there was a godly mission behind it. I don't know if you want to shed some light, and inshallah we can kickstart the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do really is try and understand, when it comes to anyone's objectives, you have to look at their words. What is it that they're saying? What is it that they set out as their mission statement? And so you have a number of different statements that the Imam made, letters that he left, letters that he sent. Starting with the first one, which he leaves with Muhammad Hanafiya in Medina. وَإِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّةِ جَدِّي. Straight away, it's telling us something. And that something is that there's something wrong. Yeah? Because you only do Islah, you only reform something that was good at one point, but now has been lost. So what is it that's broken that the Imam is going out to reform? The second, we go to the letter that he sends to the people of Basra. So he sends it to the heads of the tribes of Basra, and he says to them, like, aside from the intro, the outro, or whatever, but the main bulk of it is ala wa inna sunnata qad umitat wa inna al-bid'ata qad uhiyat. That the sunnah of the Prophet has been killed, and innovation has become rife in society.
Yeah.
So now we've got the second piece of this puzzle, that there is some sort of sunnah of the Prophet that has been killed, and an innovation has been introduced into this society that is forcing the grandson of the Prophet to leave the comfort of Medina and leave his home and take his family with him. And then you go to the letter that he sends to the people of Kufa with Muslim. And again, the intro of I received your letters and all of that. And again, there is a whole discussion on the types of letters that were sent and the tone of those letters. But it's not within the remit of this. But the Imam, after saying all of this, he says something very key. He says, فَلَا أَمْرِ مَا الْإِمَامِ إِلَّا لَعَامِلُ بِالْكِتَابِ. So he says, none is the Imam except for the one that orders from the book of God. Okay? Who follows the religion, who establishes justice, وَحَابِسُ نَفْسُهُ عِلَى ذَاتِ اللَّهِ, and he annihilates his self for the sake of Allah. So now here the Imam is telling us that a true leader is the one that has these qualities. So from this we can deduce that the whole reason for it is that there has been some sort of paradigm shift in society that has forced the Imam. Khilafat or Imamat turned to Khilafat to monarchy. Muawiyah is handing it over to Yazid. Yeah, an individual like Yazid, who the Imam himself, when he's with Walid, he tells him, he says, look, when he says, we are the Ahlul Bayt of, Nahnu Ahlul Bayt al-Nubuwah. We're the Ahlul Bayt of prophethood. We are the household of prophethood. We are the Ma'adin al-Rahmah. We're the place where the mercy of God resides.
Subhanallah.
وَمُخْتَلَفِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. And with us, to us come the angels constantly. بِنَا فَتَحَ اللَّهُ وَبِنَا خَتَمْ. And with us, God began everything, and with us, God will end it. And on the other side is Yazid. Sharib al-Khamr, he's a drunkard, a person who kills the innocent, he all of this. And then he says, a person like me could never do bay'ah to a person like him. So this is what's broken in society. But the lesson here, yes, what is underpinning all of this is divinity, is the drive towards Tawheed. And the Imam himself is on his own journey towards Fana.
Yeah.
He says it multiple times in his last poem before he rides out. So, إلهي تركت الخلق طرا في هواك وإتمت الأيالي لكي أراك وإن قطعتني بالحب إربا إربا لما للفؤاد إلى السواك. My Lord, I've left the whole of creation for your sake. I've orphaned my children so that I may see you. And even if the swords were to come and cut me to pieces, my heart would turn to none but you. Allah. So the true message of it is underlined with this godly purpose. But at the same time, the lesson for us is that although you may have godly purpose, it doesn't mean that you sit like a hermit and don't care about your community. There are times when you need to rise and bring about reform.
Ahsan, Sheikh. What do we even say after that? Subhanallah, what an introduction.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about the usul al-din and kind of the tenets that you see in Karbala, you can see everything. The whole of Islam can be found in Karbala. Tawheed, from everything you've just mentioned, the Imam's godliness and his devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his entire being and his decisions and his intent in every step he took and in every word he uttered. In terms of adala, we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's divine justice through how Imam Hussein's mission reformed society truly then until now, and of course the divine justice we will see through the avenger of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam in the arrival of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman. In Nubuwah we see Imam al-Mahdi as Warith al-Anbiya, the inheritor of the prophets, who personified and manifested all of the qualities of the Ulul Azm and kind of the Ahl al-Kisa, and brought that to the plains of Karbala. And then Imama Hujjatullah fil Ard, on the plains of Karbala, they challenged him, they questioned his imama, they opposed his imama, but it was never in doubt until his very last breath. And then of course in the Akhirah we see the Qiyamah, we see how Imam al-Hussein is Misbah al-Huda wa Safinat al-Najah. He will be our ark of salvation, our beacon of guidance to lead us to Jannah, inshallah. So I truly believe one of my own reflections in these last few weeks is that everything in Islam can be found in Karbala. We often get asked that question: why do you guys care so much about Imam Hussein? It's for that very reason, that everything we need, whether it's Salah, we can see Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura. If it's the Qur'an, we can see Imam Hussein in his camp the night before the battle, his camp humming like a beehive. And all of these qualities point us back to the Imam's mission. I just want to ask about a specific incident, because you mentioned, for example, the letters that he sent to Kufa and Basra, and there's one of the somewhat of a companion that we never really hear about is a man by the name of Yazid ibn Mas'ud, who is, as you'll know, Sheikh, is the tribal leader in Basra, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. And he gathered all of the tribes, 3 specific tribes at the time, and he managed to muster 2 of those tribes to give an army in support of the Holy Imam. And he went lobbying from house to house, and he was very influential at the time, a tribal leader, a man of nobility and kind of influence in his ashira and also generally in society. By the time, of course, he was ready to depart, he received the news of the Imam's martyrdom, alayhi salam. I just want to ask specifically on that note, because there were people who were committed, albeit few. Some of them were perhaps imprisoned, some of them were too far to make it, some arrived too late perhaps. And then of course we hear all the time about the betrayal of the Shia. Kufa is somewhere you mentioned. Kufa, we know, is a garrison town, predominantly Ahl Sunnah, with a minority, but a strong minority of those who were loyal to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam at the time. What was kind of the political climate such that the Imam only had a handful of companions, and even some of those companions that he took with them were companions that he picked up along the way, if that, like the likes of Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, for example?
Yeah. In Kufa specifically, or in the...
Just in general, the climate. Like, how did it get to a point where you could have 30,000 against a minority at least of 72?
This started way back. I mean, it starts from the time of, arguably, you could say... I mean, Kufa was established during the time of the second Khalifa, and it grew into this huge metropolis.
Yeah.
And, you know, they call it Sayyidul Amthal, and like it has all of these titles. But then during the time of Muawiyah, there is this mass exodus, either imprisonment of the Shias, banishment of the Shias, and the Shias leaving themselves because of the the situation. So a lot of the times when there's that claim, oh, it was the Shias, but actually the true Shias are either in prison or they've left, or and those that were truly loyal, they made their way and they reached Imam Hussain in Karbala. But yet there was this element of like fear in the society. There was a fear that was created. Ibn Ziyad created fear. Even in Basra, he was in Basra before he came to Kufa. Yeah. And so the companion who brings that letter to the people of Basra, he kills them in the end. And so there is this fear amongst the so-called, I guess, the people who were in the middle, loved Imam al-Hussein and everything like that. But then there was this element of fear, or this environment of fear that had been spread across everyone. Nobody wanted to rock the boat. Nobody wanted to raise their voice against oppression. Nobody wanted to say anything for fear of imprisonment, for fear of being cancelled in today's terms, right? And so history is funny, it repeats itself over and over. Imam Ali tells Harith al-Hamadani, he says to him, Ya Harith, history repeats. The actors change. Now I'm paraphrasing. The actors change, but the themes remain the same. And that's why Imam Ali says, I studied the people of the past and their works and their books and their life and their times, because as if I had lived amongst them, because of this fact that the themes of history repeat. And so even for us today, where now we find that there's more of a environment of fear being created to speak about haqq, how many people are actually going to put their head above the parapet to say something?
That's proper deep. When you think about that, it makes us question, where are we today? Because we see similar scenarios, circumstances, situations, and inshallah we are standing on the right side of history. And if we're not, there's a problem. There's a huge problem if we call ourselves Husseini, we call ourselves, lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, Ali ibn Abi Talib. But, if we just come back to the companions, the Ansar of Imam al-Hussein, we've heard so many stories, Shaykhna. Many of us, inshallah, if we have the opportunity, we should read into their lives, because you realize they didn't just wake up and said, I'm joining Imam al-Hussein. No, there was so many things that led them towards this, be it their devotion, be it their wilayah to the Imam, be it their ma'rifah of their Imam. There was so many factors that allowed them to join Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada. What I want to understand, Sheikh, is that, look, alhamdulillah, inshallah, we are all taking part in active intidar. And we know that the Imam is coming, and we know that there's going to be promised justice that will take place on this earth. But in reality, if we know he's coming and we all believe in this concept of the raj'a, and I can go on and build the question how I want it to be, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. How can I ensure that I can be like the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam towards my Imam today? Because if I wake up tomorrow and the Imam is here today, maybe too late for me, maybe too late for those listening. How do we ensure that we can be like Burayr and Zuhair and Habib and John and Wahab and all the lesser known companions? How can we be like them for our Imam?
See, it's interesting because like some of these companions, they joined Imam like at the last minute. Like Habib, okay, he's part of the Shurtatul Khamis of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He has the ilm of Manaya wal Balaya. Muslim ibn Awsaj is there from the start. But then you have like someone like Har. Like when I look at these different companions, I say, okay, wait, I don't know if I can be Habib or Muslim ibn Awsaj. But, Ya Abu Abdullah or Ya Imam al-Zaman, I maybe can be a bit like Har. Now, what is the defining factor in Har's journey? When he grabs hold of the reins of the horse of the Imam, and the Imam says, may your mother sit at your funeral and cry. Now, sometimes what it is, that the Hujjah the one that is taking you to God has to shake you awake.
Pedagogy, yeah.
And so this shakes her. And what does he say? Had it been anyone else that had said this, I would have replied in kind. But your mother is Fatima al-Zahra. See, that speck of adab that he had towards the wujud of Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam was the reason for her ascent.
Subhanallah.
That the Imam woke it in him. So there was some element of like adab that he had. This adab, this respect. Go to Zuhair. Zuhair was fighting against Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin.
Yep.
On the other side, Shimr is fighting with Imam Ali. Yeah? But Zuhair is on the other side. And the whole time when Zuhair leaves, he sees the caravan of Imam Hussain, and he says to himself, you know, I realized Hussain, I had heard some rumors. I wanted nothing to do with his campaign. So wherever his caravan would stop, I would go ahead. And then if he was going ahead, I would stop. And this carried on for a few days until I was forced to camp at the same place. And then he's sitting with his family members in his tent, and someone comes to the curtain of the tent, says it's the messenger of Imam al-Hussain. Says Imam Hussain has requested an audience with you. Zuhair says, tell him I'll be there shortly, once I finish up here. He says, no, Imam al-Hussain is already standing outside. You know when we say in the ziyarah of the Imam of our time, Kareem min awlad al-kiram. You know, that magnanimity of the Hujjah of Allah is something we can't comprehend. Says Imam Hussain is standing outside. Zuhair, he starts thinking like, his wife Dulham, she turns to him and says, Zuhair, what are you doing? The son of Rasulullah is calling you. What are you waiting for? This, as a side note, your spouse is very important on your journey. When you look for your spouse, make sure you're looking for that wilaya. That's someone that will teach you and show you adab of the Hujjah of Allah. Look for that wilaya. So then Zuhair goes. Now history doesn't write what Imam al-Hussain said to Zuhair. His family members say when he returned, it was as if Noor was dripping from the face of Zuhair. And he says to his wife, look, I will divorce you, you return back to Kufa, take my family members with you. So Zuhair, what about you? He says, me, I'm going with Abu Abdullah. And then when he's on the day of Ashura, they say, Zuhair, we thought you were of the Uthmani madhab. He says, I was. He says, but now I've come to Abu Abdullah. See, Zuhair, again, a lifetime of sin. But even then, he still had quite an opportunity. There are two companions whom we don't hear about very often. They're the last two. This is even after the shahadat of Ali and Asghar. He's been martyred. Imam Hussain for the last time says, Hal min Nasr, one last time. And two brothers, they look at each other. Say, what have we done? And they ride across. Sa'ad and Abu al-Hutuf, the Ghafari brothers. Now, what is interesting about these two is that they were part of the army of Imam Ali in Siffin. They broke away with the Khawarij. They fought against Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahrawan. And they are of the handful of people that survived the Battle of Nahrawan. And now they find themselves in Karbala.
Wow.
And now you understand what Imam Ali told Malik in Siffin, that Malik, your killing and my killing are two different things. I look down into the lineage of a person and find even one mu'min, and I spare them. Yeah. Now these two, now they're coming to Imam al-Hussain just before Asra Ashura. There's no one. Says, we were there. We watched as your Abbas was killed, your Akbar was killed, your Ali Asghar was killed. Is there any forgiveness for us? Imam says, now that you've come to Hussain, it's all forgiven. And they say, so then give us permission to go out and fight. Imam says, go. They turn around and they ride out. They fight, they're killed. And today their names are amongst the shuhada. I mean, this is the beauty of Sayyid al-Shuhada. The Urafa, they speak about this jazb, the magnetism of the Hujjah. You just have to try, truly with a pure heart, to turn towards the Hujjah. Once you enter that magnetic field, the Hujjah himself will take you towards success. That's what Imam Hussain, he concludes the letter to the people of Basra. He says, "In tuti'u amri wa tasma'u qawli ahdikum sabil al-rashad." He says that you listen to what I have to say, obey my commands, I'll take you towards success. And so there's so many of these different companions that we don't really hear about. Their stories are such. But on the other side, there are those who are good. For example, there's one called Tarimma. He meets Imam Hussain, full Shia. Imam says, come join. He has his friends with him. He says, Ya ibn Rasulullah, we're here, we're going to join you. 3 or 4 of them, they join Imam Hussain. Tarimma, he says, but Ya ibn Rasulullah, I just need to rush back to Kufa. I just need to make sure my family's good and I'm coming back and I'll join you. Imam says to him, then be quick. Be quick, come back quick. Don't miss your opportunity. And he goes. But when he returns, it's too late. The Imam has already been killed. But those companions that were with him, they achieved shahadat. See, and that's the second coin. Second piece of that puzzle. The first is having adab in front of the Hujjah. The second is complete taslim in front of the Hujjah. That where the Hujjah is telling you to go, there is no my opinion and my family and my work and my... No. He's going somewhere. You follow.
Full submission.
Everything is lost. This is that transcendence that you find in Karbala amongst some of the amongst all of the companions, in fact, but some you see it in. It's really profound. Abbas ibn Shabib al-Shakiri, he's one of the companions of the Imam. He comes with his servant Shudhab, but it was a family servant, but they were around the same age, so they grew up as friends. On the night of Ashura, Abbas says to Shudhab, he says to him, Shudhab, everyone here, they have someone who they will sacrifice for Imam al-Hussain tomorrow. He says, but I don't have anyone. The closest thing I have and the dearest thing to me in this world after the Imam is you. He says, will you be my sacrifice tomorrow? He says, yes. So Shuzab goes, he's martyred, then Abbas goes. Now this is the transcendence here. Abbas goes, he takes off his armor, he throws it aside, lifts off his helmet, throws it aside, no sword. He walks out. They shout to him, they say to him, Abbas, have you gone mad? He says, yes, Hubb al-Hussain ajinnani. Says, the love of Hussain has driven me mad. This is a transcendence now where, see, there are stages in this transcendence. There is ishq at the lowest level. This is an infatuation, which many of us have. I love the Imam. I love the Imam. I'll cry for the Imam. I'll attend the majlis. I'll do everything. But do I live my life the way that the Imam wants me to live? Maybe not. Then there's a level above it, intellect, where I intellectually understand the concept of the Imam. And then now my crying turns to buka. And when I cry and I do buka at this level, I wail for the Imam at this level. Wajibat lahul Jannah. Jannah becomes wajib. This is with the intellect. Arifun bihaqqihi. But then there's a level above it, where now no intellect can comprehend your mindset. Allama Iqbal, the philosopher, Pakistani philosopher, poet, he has a line, he says, a poem, where he says, "Bekhatar kood pada aatish namrood mein ishq." Without any fear, love jumped into the fire of Nimrud. Aql hai mahve tamashayi labe bam abi. Intellect is still standing upon the rooftop, contemplating whether or not to go. Ibrahim alayhi salam transcended to that realm, knew my Lord will never leave me alone, and now was in absolute ishq. These individuals in Karbala are in absolute ishq. Now Abbas come out, no armor, nothing on his body, absolute ishq. The world is saying, Abbas, have you gone mad? And Abbas is saying, no. This is the truth. This is reality. In the end, they stoned him to death. But again, he was an adult. You go to others in the maqatil who are not named. In some of the maqatil, this young boy, 11 years old, Abdullah ibn Junada, he's named. His father, Junada ibn Ka'ab, was just killed. He was one of the veterans of Siffin, and he came to Karbala, and he's killed in Karbala. His mother, his wife is with him. Now, Abdullah ibn Junada comes to Imam Hussain. Do you give me permission to go out and fight? And the Imam says, look, your father has already given his life. You don't need to go. Go to be with your mother. Your mother needs you. He says, Ya Imam, my mother herself has sent me to you. Now, I've told you his name, but many of the maqatil, they don't give his name. But this boy's transcendence, look at it. Every other person that went out recited poetry, they introduced themselves. Ali Akbar introduced himself. Qasim introduced himself. But this boy, he goes out, and history has just written his poem. A poem that probably every viewer at home has heard. Maybe they don't know who said it. Maybe they think that some poet wrote it. But actually it's this 11-year-old boy in Karbala. Amiri Hussainun wa ni'mal amir. He doesn't say who he is. He says, Amiri Hussain, if you want to know who I am, then just know that Hussain is my master, and what a great master he is. Sururu fu'adil bashir nadir aliyun wa Fatima walida wa hal ta'lamunna lahu bin nadir. Says that if you want to know who I am, forget me. Hussain is my master. That's all that matters. And what greater virtue is this than this? Ali and Fatima are his parents. He's a piece of the heart. He's the piece of the heart of the Prophet. What greater virtue than this is there? And so you see these individuals that are there that are not that known, but yet their transcendence is what makes them immortal.
أحسنت that needs a salawat ala Muhammad.
Yeah, it does.
Allah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Oof,
wa ali
oof,
Muhammad.
oof, oof.
I'm questioning my life. You know that.
MashaAllah, Ahsanta Shaykhna. Well, what do you even say after that? It's story after story after story, and these were real men, and they dedicated themselves for the Imam, and whether it was at the beginning or whether it was towards the end, they were those who gave their entire being, and as you said, they moved towards fana and complete annihilation of themselves for the sake of Allah and for the sake of the Imam of their time. And I think that's what really gets to me. Something you mentioned earlier about Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and the Imam coming to him strikes me, really strikes me. Why? It's because I feel like the Imam alayhi salam on so many occasions wants to give them every opportunity. And this is something we realize the more we hear and read into it, that on every opportunity the Imam wanted complete visibility, and he wanted to be in their faces to show them who he was, the maqam of who he was, and also the innocence of him as well. Whether it's the Imam coming to Zuhair, or whether it's, for example, him asking for that one extra night. We know, of course, and Sayyid Ali heard me say this over the weekend to him, but had the Imam fought on the night of, or on the 9th of Ashura, he would have been in a much better position. He would have faced less soldiers. Of course, we know now, had thousands came on the morning of the 10th.
Yeah.
He would have been less thirsty. His camp and his companions would have been less thirsty and less tired. He would have been more, perhaps, energized to go and do as much damage as possible to the enemies. At the same time, when he asks Abu Fadl alayhi salam to request the extra night, he says it's for the salah, and he says, I love my salah, and I love that line. And then the visibility of him, and we said earlier, his camp humming like a beehive. Yeah. He wanted them to hear, what are they doing on the night of Ashura before their battle, before the certainty of death? Had he not asked for that night, we wouldn't have had Hur, as an example. We would have said Hur, la'natullah alayh. Instead of praising him, he would have gone down in history as one of those who was responsible for the death of the Holy Imam alayhi salam. And all of these small moments of compassion goes to show that, hey, this is the philosophy of the Imam with the people around him, both those who were beside him and those who were opposed to him. And you would imagine that this is also the same philosophy that the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr al-Zaman, AjAllah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif, would have as well. Is that the case, for example, when we try now and aspire to be Ansar al-Mahdi, when we say we want to be beside the Imam, we want to be there, inshallah, when he comes, of course, much easier said than done. Like you said, ishq is one thing, wearing the black, going to the majlis, but acting in the way to please the Imam is a whole different dimension of khidmah and service to him, taslim to him and submission to him. How do we firstly get from that stage of ishq to taslim? And on a second level, how do we even identify what submission to the Imam looks like when he is present but not apparent to us? When we know stuff from, for example, the tawqi'at and his letters, but thereafter we don't have much else directly from him.
Yeah. There's a really simple, I think, analogy for it. And there's a great example for it in history as well. You see, when Imam Hussain alayhi salam is called Safinatun Najah, and then all the Imams are known as Safanun Najah. See, when you embark upon an arc, you go where the arc goes.
Yeah.
You move at the speed that the arc moves. You slow down where the arc slows down. You turn where the arc turns. You have no opinion and no say in where this arc is going. So if the Imams are the arcs, so you do what the Imam wants of you. You stop where the Imam wants you to stop. You go where the Imam wants you to go. You slow down where the Imam says slow down. You don't go ahead. You know, in Salawat Sha'bani, Imam Sajjadi says that Ahl al-Bayt al-fulk al-jariyati fi al-lujaj al-ghamira ya'manu man rakibaha wa yaghraqu man tarakaha al-mutaqaddimu lahum marik wal-muta'akhir anhum zahiq wal-lazimu lahum lahiq. Says that you are arcs that sail upon unfathomless seas. The one who believes in you is saved. Like the one who went ahead of you was lost. The one who stayed too far behind you was destroyed. But the one that stayed with you every single step of the way was reunited with you.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah. So wherever they want you to go, you go. Whatever they want you to do, you do. And your nafs will fight you for it. But that's where you have to tame it. And you have to bring it into your control. And you know what? The example I want to give you from history is Salman. What made Salman minna Ahl al-Bayt? It wasn't the fact that Salman just obeyed everything Amir al-Mu'mineen did or told him to do. And no, Salman changed his desires to match the desires of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Whatever Ali liked, Salman made sure that he liked it. And whatever Ali hated, Salman made sure he hated it. Salman, there was nothing left of Salman. He just was lost in the Imam, and thus he became minna Ahl al-Bayt. And so the simple solution is see what it is that your Imam wants from you, and then go and follow exactly that way, where he wants you to stop, where he wants you to go faster, where he wants you to slow down.
How do we know that? I mean, quite straight and as simple as there were people. Look, I appreciate that ma'rifah of the Imam of our time is hard, and it's also a journey. It's an upwards hill, upward slope. But for those of us who are, and for the listeners, and for those who are struggling to even understand the Imam, come to terms with the ghaiba, come to terms with how to give something to the Imam in this period of the ghaiba. Of course, we know the ghaiba can be sweet for those in the period of ghaiba, as if even our hadith says, even as if the Imam were here today, it would feel like that for us, for those who are fully committed to him. But how do we know if we are in tandem with his motion, or if we're going too far ahead or too far behind?
You have to know the Imam, right? You have to know what the Imam says, what the previous Imams have said. Okay, we don't have much from the Imam of our time, but the previous Imams, we have over 200 years worth of hadith and sayings, and then the Holy Prophet is the ultimate model. And so you look at that and you read, you understand. It is not enough right now that my only source of knowledge is the minbar.
Ahsant.
That is not enough.
Not sufficient.
I get on the minbar and I present for 45 minutes to an hour. But that is 6 hours worth of study for every lecture that I present in 45 minutes to an hour. I can't give you 6 hours of what I've done in the background. And so what that means is that if we're just the community of 45 minutes or 55 minutes or an hour, or some communities even less than that, then there's no way that we're ever going to. We have to dive in to the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. We have to take classes. We have to find teachers. We have to study. Only then will we truly begin to understand the ma'arif of Ahlul Bayt.
Becoming accustomed to the literature and being confident in your journey of knowledge.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like, there are certain simple things that you can do. Like the sixth Imam, he says, "Man sarrahu an yakuna min ashab al-qa'im falyantadhir walya'mal bil wara wa mahasin al-akhlaq." 3 things that the Imam says. Do active intidhar. Second, do a'mal at the level of wara, abstain from certain things. Don't rush towards everything. And at the levels of abstinence as well, there are certain times when you'll abstain from that which is halal for you. That because it's anything, it's taking you to something other than the Imam. And when you're totally fani in the Imam, you just want to be in a gathering where it's just the Imam, about your ma'rifah towards, your journey towards the Imam, the ma'rifah of the Imam, ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the third thing is wa mahasin al-akhlaq. Be good people. Have good manners. Don't backbite about people. Don't spread rumors about people. Don't, like, I hear something about someone and I'm just like, oh, by the way, did you hear this? I'm not just saying it, I'm just putting it out. Don't mess with people's, like, this is, the hurma of the mu'min is greater than the hurma of the Kaaba. If it's about humiliating a mu'min or bringing down the status of a mu'min or destroying the Kaaba, the narration says destroy the Kaaba. But you have no right to bring down a mu'min. And for us, these things are so easy. Like, we don't care. We will destroy the personality of someone on the basis of what? Something that I heard from someone, or something dubious I heard, or some forwarded text, or some, like, why? So the mahasin al-akhlaq, that's really important. Just being good, moral people.
That's beautiful tips. And, just this point on akhlaq, I think it's like the main be-all and end-all, not just with ma'rifah of the Imam, but how to live your life. And we speak about, being Muslims, and we look up to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the ultimate role model. He was the mercy to mankind and someone who came to perfect akhlaq, mannerism around the world. And something that really sticks with me is that, and I've mentioned this a few times over the podcast as well, is that akhlaq, I think, don't just show who you are, but allows others to understand who are the people that you look up to. Because when we come across these narrations that say, Kunu Zaynan lana, be a good omen for us, if we don't have the best akhlaq, we're going to give a bad image to who? To the Ahlul Bayt themselves. Because how much times, Ahmed, and let's be real, between, let's say, friends we come across, members of the community, they look at someone, he doesn't have the best of manners, they say, look what his religion teaches him. How much times have we come across it? And it's scary when you think about it, because it doesn't just affect the community, it will go beyond. It will affect your children one day. It will affect your relationship between your own spouse, your parents, your siblings.
But that's not like a masculine thing to do as well. Like, even in terms of putting our theology aside and the riwayat as well, it's not an attractive or an appealing quality for someone to have. Like, when you see that in someone and you're in a gathering and people are spreading gossip and rumors and, did you hear about this guy? Or, did you know this guy's dad did this or brother did that? And, bro, why do I care, man? Like, we grow up and we grow out of this. And, this issue of like masculinity is a creeping and deepening issue in our community, and specifically amongst our youth and those who are approaching the age from bulugh, they're approaching marriage. And of course, the tarbiyah from the parents plays such an incredibly important role in this, especially in a worsening society that we live in. And at the same time, we have a world, like a secular world, which idolizes superheroes in pop culture. For reality, we have here today, we've heard about how many superheroes? You know, actual superheroes to look up to, people of all ilks and backgrounds. And we look at the superheroes in Marvel and DC. The how do we learn about their personalities? They all have their own traits, their characteristics, their different forms, shapes and sizes, backgrounds, cultures, demographics, languages. It's the same in Karbala. It's exactly the same. How is it any different? But these are real life
examples,
real life characters, real life men and women who stood tall, and they stood in the face of oppression. They didn't give in. You know, there's companions even until their last breath. When they were lying on the floor, they would still reach for a dagger to inflict as much pain on the enemies of the Imam, the soldiers of Shaitan, as much as possible. And that, I think, in my opinion, a lot of this comes back to what's in their heart, their compassion for the Imam, as well as their qualities of masculinity. Sheikh, on that particular point on masculinity, if I can ask, especially through, because look, you've had interactions with probably hundreds of Shia centers and communities around the world in the last couple of decades, but especially from your interactions with young men today, do you feel like masculinity is an issue? And what advice would you have for us, both as young men and also those who are younger than us, who are growing up and trying to understand how to become a real man in today's day and age?
I think the basis of masculinity, it comes from akhlaq, but also adab. Adab is etiquettes. Akhlaq is manners. Adab is etiquettes. Akhlaq tells you don't backbite, don't do this. Adab tells you this is how you sit in the company of people. This is how you interact with certain individuals. You know, Imam Ali, he says, Al-adabu an yaqif al-insan inda haddih. Says that adab, etiquettes are that an individual understands their boundaries and stays within their boundaries. I am the son to my father. I'm not my father's father. I'm not at his level. You understand? So understanding adab, that's really important. Having things like ghira, you know, having that this is a terrible translation, but this honorable jealousy, you know, over the mahrams in your life. You find it in the life of Sayyid al-Shuhada, right? Imam Hussain in Nahiya, the Imam says that when you fell to the ground, tudiru tarfan khafiyan ila rahlika wa baytik. You know, even though you were lying there, the only concern that Sayyid al-Shuhada had, from the corner of his eye, he was fixed. His focus was on the tents of Zainab and Kulthum. That's all his focus. His fear. When he falls unconscious at the body of Ali Akbar, because the state of the body of Ali Akbar is such, plus losing Ali Akbar, فَقَطُّعُوهُ بِسُيُوفِهِمْ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They mutilated his body so badly that the Imam, he falls unconscious at the body of Ali Akbar. Zainab comes out from the tents, according to Maqtal of Sayyid ibn Tawus Lawuf. She comes running out from the tents to the body of Ali Akbar to aid Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein, hearing the voice of Zainab, says, Zainab, not while I'm still alive. And he forgets Ali Akbar, he forgets everything. And he takes Zainab alayha salam back towards the tents. That ghira. That's one aspect. The other aspect is, you know, like men have become soft. Like these people that you look up to in Karbala. You know, you hear about Qasim and you hear, oh, he killed this many people, or this many, Ali Akbar and stuff like that. You know, there was a regime they were following. Abbas alayhi salam, from the young age. Like there was training. They were training. Yeah. You know, they were learning to fight. They were learning how to defend themselves, all of that, you know, the martial arts and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't that they magically came on the day of Ashura and all of a sudden were able to wield swords. And there was years of training. So there's like this physical aspect to the masculinity that we've lost, where you got kids sitting for hours upon hours on, you know, with their headsets on, playing, you know, God knows what. and parents are just letting them play whatever haram game, like, oh yeah, someone once told me, oh mashallah, I brought my son GTA, a lady, because he kept complaining. I said, sister, do you know what's in GTA? Like what are you, and so there's that aspect, that physical aspect has gone, and then you can't, alongside the physiology or along with it, because this has a big part to play with our masculinity, especially in men, levels of testosterone. We don't really pay much attention to it. After the age of 40, as your testosterone starts to fall off, or as you're younger, right now with the amount of microplastics that are in the food chain, we don't really care about those sort of things, what we're putting in our stomach. When you look at the lives of the Ahlul Bayt, you look at, there is this aspect of akhlaq, adab, diet, training. These are really important. You can't just discount them and just be like, I'm just going to pray all the time, and that's going to make me a man. There has to be an aspect of physically putting yourself under strain, like learning these crafts. And then when you do that, and there's plenty of research, and I won't turn it into a discussion on testosterone and like gym and
I don't want it
like
to end.
Part two, inshallah.
But it's really important. Like, you look at the lives of these individuals, and they have these characteristics. The physical is so important. Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is he saying? قوّ على خدمتك جوارحي. Give me the strength of my limbs so that I can do your khidmah. If I can't, I go to masajid now and I see people who are in their mid-30s, bad backs, bad hips. They've got no core strength. They can't sit up. They're sitting on a chair. They can't sit on the ground. They can't hold their torso up. They can't, do any sort of manual work. They're like, oh, I'm getting tired. No, like, amongst the seerah of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam is hard work. The Imams had their own farms. They would till their own land. They would physically work. Plus, there was this whole regime of training, archery, sword fighting, all of horse riding, all of these, they're transferable skills. This cannot be discounted. It is necessary for young men who want to develop that manliness, and alongside it, that akhlaq and adab, so you don't end up with toxic masculinity, but alongside, that adab and the akhlaq, and then you have men who are men, men who understand their fara'id. They don't, I'll say this out because I hear it so much now. Oh, Shaykh Nabil, I'm talking to a guy and he's saying to me, yeah, he's ready to get married to me, but he wants to go 50-50 on all the bills. He wants to go 50-50 on the... No. What are you talking about? There ain't nothing to do. No, that's your job as a man.
Yeah.
Oh, my husband has, I have to raise the kids. And no. Tarbiyah of the awlad is the responsibility of the father. You guide, and together you go. Yeah, but why is it that most of our women are being forced to do that? We're like, no, I'm going out to work. You raise them at home. But actually, when you look at the hadith that we have, tarbiyah of the awlad, development of the child, training your child is the father's responsibility. It falls on the father's neck.
Yeah.
So, the masculinity isn't just like one thing.
Of course.
It's like multifaceted, that you want to develop the right man,
of course,
the perfect man.
Of course.
And obviously the perfect insan al-kamil is Amir al-Mu'mineen. That same Ali that is fierce in the battlefield. أَنَا الَّذِي سَمَّتْنِي أُمِّي حَيْدَرًا. That same Ali يتململ تململ السليم. In the mihrab, he's writhing and shaking like a man bitten by a venomous snake, wailing and crying. That same Ali is sitting on the ground playing with the orphans of Kufa.
Subhanallah.
And that same Ali is walking the streets with a bag of food on his back, trying to look for someone poor. That same Ali is actively out looking for those that are downtrodden in society. Someone says to him, Ya Ali, why did you give this man so much money? Well, he says, he's going to form a habit. Imam Ali says, be quiet. I went looking for him. I stand here looking for people. I don't wait for people to come to me. I go, this is all part of that masculinity. Because for that to have that level, you need sharh al-sadr.
Yeah.
Like this expansion of the chest, to be able to deal with the trials and the difficulties of life and still be resilient enough to go forward. That's a man, is that a man that can go again. And yes, there are times when we're weak and we fall, but you know, that's where your friends are there, your family is there to lift you up. We have that time. But you know, most of the time it's not about not showing my emotions, not being, no, but you know, there is an element of have some strength about you.
Yeah.
You know, have some strength about you. It's not the end of the world. You still have God above you.
Ahsantum. Ahsantum, Sheikh. May Allah bless you. I feel like we have about 3 more podcasts we need to do with you. On different, there's like, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. Inshallah soon.
Inshallah.
If you would allow us and if you'd grace us with the return, inshallah,
Inshallah.
one day we would be honored. And I'm extremely grateful to you, as I know Sayyid Ali's as well, for being here with us. And I know you are extremely busy. I remember seeing your schedule during your time in the UK, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you more tawfiq, allow you always to continue in the service of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam, and towards, inshallah, building communities where we can be better men and women, where we can learn from our history and prepare for our future as well, inshallah. Shaykhna, last comment or question for you, if you will, and if you don't mind, if there's one message you could give to people at home, especially in the next couple of weeks and in the build up to Arba'een, any message you would have for people who are struggling to kind of develop that momentum once again, and kind of how important the maqam of Arba'een is for us to look forward to?
Yeah. I think more than anything, foster tears. You know, because people often say, you know, what is the sort of sign that my dua is being accepted, my ziyarah, my salam, all of this when I go to Karbala. The sign of it is the tears that fall from your eyes, that the Imam is replying to you, that the Imam has his attention towards you. And sometimes we can't cry. Some people, they don't cry. You can be in the musibah, and that's because of the hardness that's developed in the hearts through sin, through whatever it is. And if you find yourself distant from the Imam, then sit down and just talk to him. Talk to the Imam of our time, talk to Imam Hussain, and say to them that, Ya Rasulullah, you know, I'm not as Hur came so late. At least from the start, I've claimed that I love you. Zuhair spent a lifetime on the opposite side. And it just took one moment. And so I just say to the Imam, and I say to everyone, just sit and talk to the Imam and just ask him, just for a moment, pull me into your magnetic field. And then when Abu Abdullah pulls you in, you know, he'll hold on to your coattails. You'll hold on to his coattails, and he'll take you to where it is that you need to go. But you just have to have that purity of intention. And when you say it with the purest of intention and those tears fall, you'll see that the doors will begin to open up for you.
Beautiful, beautiful, and truly tears do wonders. I've seen it happen around me, and sometimes I've experienced these myself. Yani, if we can shed tears for Abu Abdullah, it's a blessing. And inshallah, these tears never stop. Because wallah, they soften the hearts. They allow us also to turn back towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we go left and right in our lives. But beautiful advice, Shaykhna, inshallah, for those of you who haven't booked to go for the ziyarah of Arba'een, please make that intention so that you have that ma'rifah, not just doing ziyarah from afar, but being there close to the Imam, physically next to his qabr. And there's so much, you know, emphasis on his ziyarah and his maqam and the status of doing the ziyarah of Imam Hussain in Karbala. I've come across this narration which you touched upon earlier on. من زار الحسين عرف بحقه فقد زار الله في عرشه. Imagine, that is like huge. That's not something small. So just an encouragement, inshallah, was a beautiful encouragement for us to build ma'rifah with the Imam. And yeah, back to you.
Thank you so much once again, Sheikhna, for your time and for
Santum.
being here. Brothers and sisters, we will be back next week. Make sure you leave below in the comments your thoughts, questions on the podcast. We covered so much thanks to the Sheikh.
And persuade the Sheikh for part 2.
Yeah, inshallah, inshallah. Inshallah, yeah, spammers, DMs, all of that, inshallah. And brothers and sisters, as a reminder, please visit the website. You can check out the new merch collection in front of us, the t-shirts, the bottles, as well as the new partner campaign. All of the, oh wow, beautiful, mashallah, mashallah. And as well as that, brothers and sisters, check out the Partners in Khidmah campaign. Any support you give goes back directly into what we do here, the equipment, the rent, the studio space, the furniture. I keep saying, Ali, I need a new sofa, bro. Like, come on, man, let's sort it out. So help us with that, brothers and sisters, and inshallah, we can continue to serve at the best of our ability with your support. We will see you next week. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.